What's going on, guys? Noobs here, and I'm joined by a very special guest. Who are you?
I'm burrhe. Hello.
Welcome, burrhe. You may know him from the comments section of my videos.
May. May know.
May know.
Big emphasis on the may.
And today we are kind of having a little Skyward Sword debate, I guess, because I think there's a good game in there, but there's a lot of flaws as well, and I'm a bit of a Skyward Sword hater. Would you say it's fair to say you're a bit of an apologist, or where do you put yourself?
I have a tempered enjoyment of that game. Like, I appreciate the game as a whole, and I had a really good time with it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I know that the flaws are there, and I can appreciate why they're bad as well, and why people don't enjoy them.
So we're gonna go through point by point some of the negatives that I've had with the game, and some of the positives that we both have to say about the game as well, and then figure out how to improve it and what we think Nintendo should do with a Switch remake for the game. Alright, so the big elephant in the room is, what do you do with the controls? Obviously, this was a game that was very much designed for the Wiimote and Nunchuck. A lot of the puzzles, the enemy battles are built around precision controls. It's not like Twilight Princess where you could just map waggle to a button. There's a lot more to it. And for me, my biggest issue is just like, it feels like you're fighting the controls to do what you want them to do. Like, it's usually obvious, especially in like an enemy encounter. It's like, clearly I need to go like left to right or up and down or something. That's what they're looking for. But it's just a matter of getting the controller to register that input. Especially those like puzzle cubes you had to rotate around, and then like they were keys that you fit in a slot, and I would just be like flipping the whole controller over in my hands to try to make it go where I wanted it to go.
Oh, I love those little puzzles.
So,
because it was like you were holding the cube in your hand,
yes,
and you just turn it around. It's like, oh, what's this? Oh, okay. Oh, that's how it goes. Yeah.
So I
really enjoyed that tactile bit of it.
I felt very awkward with that. You are then saying what? That they should keep the motion controls in?
Yeah, it's because it's such an integral part of that Skyward Sword game. Like, the enemies are designed around you having that one-to-one motion with the controls and the sword. A lot of the puzzles, like the cubes. I guess the cubes could be really easily done with just like a joystick rotate around.
Yeah.
But it is a gimmick. Let's be honest. Like, let's not try and disguise it for anything other than it's a gimmick that I feel like Nintendo did what they do best and sort of made it work. You know, like the flood in sunshine, or it's designed around that aspect, and they make it really fun and engaging.
Right.
In terms of the enemy design and the way you need to approach enemies. Like, I felt like each enemy was a bit more worthwhile fighting, because a lot of the other Zelda games, at least before Breath of the Wild did the combat pretty well, but a lot of the previous Zelda games, and like particularly the 3D ones, was okay, Z target, hold your shield, wait for the opening, spam the attack button, okay, hold shield.
Yeah, that's
hold
true.
Shield, strafe around him. And that is, I hate game mechanics that are just there to make you wait.
Right.
And that's the one thing I don't like about most 3D Zeldas, is that the combat is just a waiting game. But yeah, my point is, I didn't get that with Skyward Sword.
No.
At least I didn't feel like, I don't remember getting that with Skyward Sword.
No, it's like every enemy encounter is significant, right? So
yeah, because you can't just like sleep through it or run past it. Sort of.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, obviously they can do motion controls on Switch, and I'm sure they can make it work better. Probably, personally, controversially, my preference would be for them to figure out how to not have to do it. But
yeah, I mean, Nintendo's going to be Nintendo. They're going to fix it with motion controls anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess ideally they would give you the option to play either way.
Yes, with like the Pro Controller.
Right.
You can figure out a way. But they'd probably just like say, use the motion controls in the Pro Controller, guys. It'll be fine. Oh, yeah, I mean, the only thing that came to mind was using the right stick as the sword slashes. So, like, pressing to the right would do a sword swing from left to right.
Right. I think that's kind of how emulators do it. Okay. I think we solved controls then.
We've solved it. Okay, Nintendo, you can mail us a check. I mean, you can get in touch with our PR department.
Yes.
But, preferably just a check in the mail would solve any issues we have there.
All right.
We fixed your problem.
So let me get into then the actual gameplay. And because I mean, a lot of people just jump on the controls with this game, but I think the issues with it are a lot deeper than just the controls. It's just the most obvious issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
it's like the low blow that everyone goes for.
Right. Exactly. So one big thing for me is how repetitive it all feels. There's a couple of boss fights that are done several times. There's Girahim, am I saying that right? Girahim.
Yeah, I like calling him Graham. I know it's Girahim, but I like calling him Graham because it makes him cute.
True.
Oh, it's Graham! Hi, Graham!
Graham with the crazy tongue.
That crazy tongue, man.
So those fights are okay, though, because, like, I don't know, they're just a little more interesting and they're more story-driven. But then there's the imprisoned fights, which there's 3 of them. They're long and boring every time. And it's just like, why am I doing this again? I thought I already did this.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really didn't enjoy about this game as well.
So either I would say, here's an idea. Is just like give him a different form each time.
Yeah.
Instead of just
just like having all of that condensed into a sort of build-up boss fight rather than 3 times, because after, like, the first time it's like, oh no, I gotta deal with this. Like, it's kind of frantic, but it's not too much, and it's, okay, you got a time limit thing, but it's not too bad. And the second time it's like, oh, this again. Oh well, okay. And the third time it's like, oh gosh, like as you said. But if that was all sort of as an end sort of thing to the game, that would have been, with that time limit, that time constraint, would have been like a really tense boss fight that didn't feel like it was a drag because you'd done it twice already.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's the way to do it.
Even just that change.
And I think a lot of the problem with this game is they seem to feel the need to keep padding it with more stuff. It's like, I don't need that long a game. So I'm happy with just fighting him once. I think you're right. And then, of course, there's really only 3 major areas to the game, right? There's like a woods area, a volcano, and a desert. And you keep getting sent back to them over and over again, including you play through them as the Silent Realms, right? Where you're collecting those teardrops or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And
try to Twilight Princess it.
Yeah. And I didn't actually mind that Silent Realm stuff. Specifically, it was like a little bit of a different kind of a challenge. But is there a way to make those less repetitive?
What was the point of them, like, story-wise again? What was the need to go to those Silent Realms? I forget.
Yeah, you would collect something. You know what? I don't know. But this is the point.
I remember them being a thing. I don't remember anything else about them.
You know what? This is a good point.
Let's just get rid of it. We could just get rid of that part of the game.
Right. Clearly, it wasn't integral enough to the story for us to remember why we were doing it.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. Get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay. Done. Nintendo again. Check in the mail. Sorted. All right. What's the next bit? No, but I totally agree with you at the whole padding thing. Like, there were times just like, again, like with like what we just talked about with the boss 3 times. Yeah. Like, why am I doing this? Like.
Right. Yeah, why? There's no reason to do it again except that they feel the game needs to be longer. Here's the worst part of going back to those 3 areas again and again, though. And they are well-designed areas. Like, I'm not going to say otherwise, Once you're actually in them, it can be fun. But there's a point towards the end of the game where it really feels like you're getting to that conclusion, it's building up to it. And you fight this big sky monster god thing named Levias. And
Oh yeah, I really like that fight. That was cool.
yeah, that's good. And then you're like, okay, I think he's gonna like send me to do the big finale. And he's like, no, you got to go back to those 3 areas one more time.
No way, bro. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Right. And you're like collecting 3 parts of this song, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, isn't it to? Ooh, something to do with that storm thing, isn't it? You
Yeah.
you fight him in the storm, don't you?
Yes.
And then he sends you to go do the song to like quieten the storm or something.
But so something like that.
There's so much to this like little
Yeah.
fetch questy type things to the story that aren't integral to it.
Right.
That didn't need to be there, like we said.
So I say you just have the fight with him, and then he sends you on to the next thing. No, whatever number round of going back to those 3 areas, just cut it all. Because the worst of going back to those is when you go to flooded Faron Woods, because it's all swimming. The swimming controls are such a hassle, such a pain.
I kind of like the swimming controls.
And you are fighting the controls to collect these tad tones, these music notes that are swimming in the water.
But you've got to get the song, noobs. You've got to put the song together.
No,
and they make up the notes of the sheet.
I understand.
No, that is terrible. It's the worst.
It's awful. And you know what's even worse than that, now that I'm thinking about it? Once you start collecting the notes for a piece of the song, you have to get them all in a time limit.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, so you can't just
I don't remember that.
You can't just be like, find a blue one, find a red one, find a green one. You gotta find all the blue ones before like the clock resets and you lose them all.
Oh, I don't remember that at all. Did I just like pro it and just get them straight away so I didn't even notice that?
It's totally possible because I was really fighting those controls trying to do that.
See, that was one of the bits I really liked about the game, was that I could control my character in like during those swimming parts quite well. Like doing like just that Wii Motion Plus let you I sort of pictured it as, okay, this in the 3D space is Link, like the controller is now Link.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just pointed Link in the 3D space to the direction I wanted him to go, and he went that way.
Okay.
And that for me worked really well in terms of like swimming controls, where I'd been used to really, really annoying swimming controls that is basically this analog stick makes you go left, right, up or down. The amount of which is sort of, you know, you have to feel it out a bit. For example, like Banjo-Kazooie's swimming controls, it's so irritating. But like all those sort of games, like older school 3D games like Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, DK64, those sort of things that had swimming in them, it's just so fiddly with an analog stick. Whereas I didn't find that with the Wii Motion Plus. I found it was much more precise than an analog stick that isn't, how do I put this, isn't present with other types of control scheme, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get that a button is more accurate than a waggle, but this isn't a waggle, this is sort of positioning in 3D space.
Yeah.
Just sort of pointing. It's a precise directional thing, you know.
I wonder what's going on with that. Like, it's just intuitive for some people and not others, or if there's an actual difference in the precision of the specific controller.
Maybe, yeah.
I really wonder about that.
I mean, I've always been good at like sort of 3D space puzzles, so maybe that's just a thing I can pick up really quickly.
Yeah, maybe.
But at the same time, like if the game controls don't cater to people on a universal level like that, if it's like the control scheme itself is only workable for a niche part of your audience, then there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
As much as I personally like it, if there's a problem with it, then there's a problem with it.
Yeah. And like we said, in our dream scenario here, they're going to give us the option either way.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that even given the option, I would still just cut this whole last bit where Levias sends you on this mission. It is such like, because there's some momentum building, like you feel like you're getting to the end, and it just completely kills it.
Yeah, and like getting into the big storm thing and then
Yeah.
fighting that Leviathan thing. However, like fighting the Leviathan, the big whale, sky whale,
Yeah.
was really cool. But then, don't you land on his tail or his head or something, and then the big thing pops out?
Yeah.
That boss fight is stupid. It's like the epitome of terrible, terrible boss fights in video games. Here's my big glowy eye, shoot it with an arrow, then slash it a few times. That, like, let's not forget that bit, because
that's dumb too.
it's just so lazy.
So
It's so late. Like, you just had this big epic space, like, sky whale fight.
Yeah.
That's freaking epic as shit on your loft wing, and finally you're doing something really meaningful on your loft wing that's sort of been this companion the whole time. And then you have to shoot the glowy eye. It's such a disappointment.
But that brings me into another point I was thinking. The sky. It's very boring, very empty. It's very drab color-wise. A lot of the times it feels like it could just be a menu selection, like a level selection. Basically no exploration going on up there. How do you feel about the sky elements?
I completely agree with you. Like, the sky it's just dull. Like, it's boring to look at, it's boring to be in. And for the whole game to be based around that as the hub world, they messed up. That's such a crucial part. I liked going to see the little individual islands with like little events happening, like the bar, and like you had little side missions there, and that was cute, and it was cool to see what was going on around, but there just wasn't enough of it. It was just empty.
Yeah. So what is the fix here?
And you're right, there was no exploration. There was just
no.
All right, there's a thing that's glowy over there. Now go to it.
Just go to it. And the flying, thankfully, I didn't find too hard. So, okay, here's a couple ideas I have. One is fix the colors. Like, don't make it just these brownish clouds above and below you. Make it look like the ground is actually below you and have like big blue sky.
Yeah.
Like, just brighten it. That might have just been a technical limitation of the Wii. So hopefully
I don't know. That seems like something you could like. Have you seen Barry Kramer, who's like done some videos with Game Grumps? He did he's got a short game series called How About This Game? And he did one for Skyward Sword Sky, like literally what we're talking about right now.
Oh, okay.
And he literally went and fixed a video of it and essentially did some post-processing on it. And made the sky look exactly like you said, like blue, bright, clouds fluffy and white.
So what were they doing?
I don't know.
So it's very fixable.
They messed up. It was a thing they just straight messed up.
Yeah.
Like, or just it was an afterthought because they were building the rest of the game or trying to get the motion controls to work.
I think they were just. It's weird because the game was being developed for so long, but clearly they spent so long on the controls that they never got around to doing anything else.
They made us wait so long for that game.
Yeah, and it still feels rushed.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's an easy fix, at least the way the sky looks. Now,
how about it feels?
Yeah, and just like make it more interesting though. What do we do there?
Like, they just like need to populate it with not even like meaningful things, but let's like compare it to Hyrule and like the way the Korok seeds are dealt with in Breath of the Wild, which is, I mean, after like the 300th one, it gets kind of repetitive and you've seen everything then. But to begin with, it's like, oh, what's this? Ooh, what does this do? Is this Korok seed? It is a Korok seed. You know, you've got that. There's a thrill there, even though it's like this little pokey thing. But
absolutely, yes. Just put more in the sky. Now, what if they give you like a quick travel? Just like if you just want to go to one of those 3 areas, can you just pull it up on a map and click it and go?
Yeah, that would have been good.
Save yourself some flying time as well.
Yeah, because a lot of the flying was literally, okay, I need to go over to this part.
Yeah.
Flap, flap, flap. Dive down to get speed. Flap, flap, flap. And at that stage, you're just sort of working your right arm, which is annoying.
Yeah.
For no reason.
All right, so I think
that could have been done with a click.
There we go. I think we've solved the sky problem then.
Yeah. So we can skip a lot of what made the sky bad, but is there a way sort of we can improve it? Like we said with the Korok seeds and stuff.
Yeah,
Is there little bits we can put in here for people to discover? And like, there's a cloud formation over here, because there were little bits of that, but it was it wasn't rewarding to discover them because they were just there.
Yeah, I think so. Just more islands out there, some collectible. I don't know what that could be moved
like the bugs
up there.
was a collectible thing, wasn't it? Like the bugs and the crafting items.
Yes.
Like, there could have been stashes of those somewhere hidden.
Yeah, something like that.
Or like a dealer or some like a little NPC somewhere that dealt a bit more in these, where you could like maybe purchase a certain amount a day or trade some in to get other ones that you maybe needed.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But like sort of you had to discover him, and like that was never hinted at in the game. Like you would just find him.
Yeah.
And go, oh, this guy's cool, sort of thing.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. So there we go. We fixed the sky.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable fix as well. That wouldn't be too difficult as well. Like, it doesn't change too much, but makes the experience better.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Now, you know what? That is all my main issues with the game. Do you have some positives you want to shout out?
Well, let's go with the obvious one, is like the music and the sound design, because it's so gorgeous listening to a full orchestra.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
when they do it as good as Nintendo do their music, it's so good. I love the main theme for it as well, the Ballad of the Goddess. Just gets me right in the feels. Like I wrote down in my notes, it's up there with like Song of Storms and Gerudo Valley theme, which are my favorite Zelda songs.
You're totally right. Totally agree there.
It was like an instant classic Zelda song.
Yep.
That was so spot on, and the fact that it's like like a remixed reverse Zelda's Lullaby as well is just like makes it so juicy. It's like, there's so much lore here as well.
Yeah, I totally
agree. The way
agree.
It builds, I love it. I love
awesome
it.
Music.
And those key story moments when it uses it, it's just
So that's one of my highlights.
So good.
Is just the game is like it really plays into the Zelda timeline like no other Zelda game. And there's just a lot of like Zelda lore and timeline stuff and story stuff that makes me want to like the game more because it's so tied in with the rest of the series.
Yeah, it touches on things that the others games in the series never touch on. Because it can do that because it's the first in the timeline.
Right. All the stuff with Zelda and the ceremony, whatever's going on, it's all in there. Right? And I think even Link's outfit, it has its origins in this game, right? It's all explained there.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have found a way to ham-fist it in, regardless of anything, because they always do that.
They always do. But I like the idea of this being the first time somebody wore this thing, you know?
It's like the same, but new because it's told, like it's the first time it's being told.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. Like, we kind of know how it's going to play out. Like, we know Ganon's going to show up eventually, but that was a really cool thing for me, like, seeing the origin of Ganon as well. That was cool.
Yeah, so, love the story stuff. That's good. And then I also really like the dungeons. Some really strong dungeon design in here.
Oh, yeah, the time mechanic one.
Yes.
Where you pick up the time orbs and stuff. And that was really cool. That whole mechanic is really underutilized in games, like being able to see the past using some sort of artifact.
Yeah, and they pulled it off.
Interact with it and it affects the now.
Yeah, they did an amazing job with it. So there's great dungeons in there for sure. Did you have any other positives?
Dungeons were really good. Again, those puzzles that they used in the dungeons made you really think about using the motion controls. I think there was one really frustrating bit, but I kind of appreciated it once I'd solved it. It was like putting out a fire in one of the temples, and what you had to do was poke one of these seed pods filled with water with your sword, so it'd latch onto your sword, and then throw it at the fire.
Yeah, I remember that.
I could not figure out how to do this for so long. I was like shooting it with the slingshot to try and knock it down, and then pick it up, catch it before it fell and burst. And like slashing the top of it with my sword and trying to do the same thing. Make it like I was trying to pick it up with my hands and then throw it on, like, you know, any other Zelda game would do it. So I was like in a Zelda rut.
Right.
But when I finally figured it out, it was like so obvious, but yet so infuriatingly, what's the word, like, obscure to what Zelda has trained me to think the puzzles are gonna be like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
but
exactly
it was like,
what it is.
Oh, you did this. This is good. I like this, but I feel stupid now.
Yeah, that's a good puzzle.
Yeah, little moments like that.
Yeah.
You know, it was a Zelda game, and I liked it, and I liked the combat for once in the 3D Zelda games that sort of had to make me wait.
Yeah.
So the overall experience for me was positive.
Okay. So, yeah, I think there's a good game in there. It just needs, like, an editor, right?
Yeah.
It just needs somebody to go through and go, you know what, this is a bit bloated, and let's do something with these controls. But otherwise, there's a good game in there. All right, so now we've edited our game. We've added and subtracted what we felt we needed to do. How are you feeling? You feel like we've got an amazing game on our hands now?
Yeah, I think with the whole combination of player choice with the controls, making, like, I think the sky in particular, those changes would affect the whole experience. Like, even if they left in, like, the padding on the side, like the tad tones and stuff, it would be less tedious if it wasn't so tedious to get to that bit in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the general world would had a more interesting feeling to it. Like, I don't think you would mind that bit of padding on it. But the only other thing that really needs to go is that triple boss fight.
Yes, absolutely.
It's something that's something that definitely needs sorting. And I think our solution is pretty elegant. Just have it as one boss fight at the end.
Just save it for one big fight at the end. Make it feel more special.
Yeah, and not much work needs to be done on it then.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that is Skyward Sword fixed and remade for Switch. Well, thanks a lot, burrhe, for joining me on this very special Skyward Sword discussion.
It's my pleasure.
And let us know in the comments, guys. What did you think? Would you like a Skyward Sword remake? How much do you think they need to change? Do they need to fix anything at all? Let us know, and thanks for watching.
Bye!